Thanks for joining us for this midweek special edition. We have been keeping stats on our finances and budget since we left to travel Australia, and we were curious to see if our 30-day meal planners were making any kind of impact on the budget. A vast majority of our travel is in rural and remote parts of Australia, and we mainly use free and low-cost camping options in our well-equipped Off-Grid Caravan. For several reasons, we have to be mindful of our overall fridge and freezer space, plus the storage areas for the long-life products, and we need to make sure we protect the food from mice and ants, but also think about the recommended storage temperatures. Oh, and another thing, we did a 30-day shopping challenge before we departed and had a professional weigh done on both the tow vehicle and caravan, so we know that it all fits in the right places and stays within our legal weight limits. We are using the figures for April to September in 2025, and that 26 weeks gives us a good average. And in that last 6 months, we have clocked up over $6,938 in the supermarket, which gives us an average of $267 per week. We are pretty chuffed that is actually only equivalent to $19 a day for meals and drinks per adult.
Today has been a huge day, and it didn't start today. It started yesterday, the day before, with a job which I do every 30 days when we're going to do a massive shop. So what I actually do is grab myself some notepads and I make a list of meals that we're going to have, meal planner. But what I do for each of those meals is write down all of the ingredients that I will be needing to purchase. Then moving on to these lists, working out how many beef mince I need, how many chicken I need, how many sausages, just to break it down. So this here is all of the canned items that we need. We also try to limit how many items we have that are rice and pastas, and we tend to prefer the ones that you can zap in the microwave. They use much less water, and also too with these noodles, they're not ones that you have to utilize water. So when we're off grid, that helps us save a lot of water. Just always checking all the condiments and things in the fridge and cupboards before we take off to make sure that we've got enough of everything, especially if we're getting low. Lunch and dinner sachets. We find that it's really easy to pick and make items if we've got sort of a starting point. So we've got a whole heap of breakfast cereals, snacks, milks. We use a lot of the breads that are longer life. All these ones don't need to be refrigerated. They won't go off as long as the seals are not broken on them. We have the back wall completed now. A lot of it is cooking things and items that you don't use every day, or not as frequently anyway. And it's all spaced out to make sure that we get the best use of our cabinets. So now all we have to do is layer on the front section, which one-handedly, let's see how we go. Now, it's not rocket science, but it does take a little bit of time to figure out what fits in what container, and getting all of those sizes correct. But the beauty of these Systema containers, whether they're at Coles, Woolworths, Big W, you will actually find them on sale very, very regularly. So you will be able to get your collection together over time at half the price. You two, no barking. Gussie. All right, we are nearly finished this part of the process, but of course there's so many more layers to go. So stick with me. We'll get ready to complete the next part. Fresh water that we get from the supermarket, that goes into our tank, and we use that from the filtered water tap for not only ourselves for drinking or cooking, but also for the dog's water bowl as well. The next layer to go in is the drinks. And eventually, after a lot of shuffling and sorting, underneath the couch has a range of canned food, and they're sitting in baskets so they don't jostle around. So are the drinks in these areas. We've got more storage under the bed, and that's what we use in week 3, week 4. So all of these things here are sort of on the menu planner earlier in the 30 days, and then we'll move towards pulling stuff out from under the bed. We have some other hacks that we've really found useful, and that's to do more with the fridge. What we actually do is have the Sistema containers in the fridge as well. Just transfer anything that's sort of in jars. So I'm just going to pop this delicious pickles in, if I can open it, which, whew, a trick that Michelle Primer showed me a good 15 to 20 years ago is to just stab the lid with a knife, just like that. So thanks, Michelle, for your tip. It's made my life a lot easier. We use these kinds of containers for Parmesan cheese, crushed garlic, sandwich pickles. We also use one for canned beetroot. As you can see, they sit neatly in there. Then what we're able to do is, when they're full, obviously they work a lot better because they've got food. But anyway, we will get there. Cleaning day, sorting day. We also have these three, so the sliced cheese, grated cheese and the butter. Then this little rack. And when we travel, we don't have any movement in that section. Now, talking about all things cuppers, we actually have in here a storage facility that has coffee, tea. These are my herbal teas, and then we also have a tub of electrolyte just when we're doing anything arduous, if we start to dehydrate. Below that, we have purchased a third rack, so we could settle that in and use it for the spices. I know a lot of people use those pouch type ones, but we really love to use our spices, and you know, living in a caravan full time, sometimes you just want a touch of home. So we have all our favourite ones there. Obviously you can't have one of everything, so every now and then you have to make compromises. We also have our salt and pepper. Now on the lower shelf we have very easy to grab stuff, and everything fits in perfectly. So this as a grab and go station has been absolutely awesome. One of the best little mods that we did was add that third shelf to give us that extra space. Now another thing that we do, I've already mentioned that we get these longer life kinds of products, whether it's garlic bread, pizzas, wraps, all of those things that are long life. But what we actually do, the storage for those, is we use a little basket that sits inside the oven, and we just place those inside, and as a storage option that works perfectly to keep all of those without being squashed or bouncing around. Now the next hack that I'm going to share is more for our benefit, because we are a little bit compulsive when we have so many yummy treats and snacks. So a good way to slow ourselves down and make sure that we are not overeating or tucking into supplies that then we get to day 20 and we've got no food left. So this bag has been really good as a storage option to go under the bed with all of the good stuff. Let's see how much we can fit inside this trusty little barbecue bag. Let's go. Still plenty of room in there. But that's all zipped up and ready to go under the bed when I lift it. Love that snack bag. A major part of our shopping is to make sure that we don't forget the dogs, because they would not like it at all if they were starving for 30 days. For storage, they go out in the front toolbox. Obviously, depending on what area you're going in and what you're up to, some things may just be a resupply and other things might be new just for a special task. But regardless, these are all sorts of things that you need to keep on top of as well. We have found that we can fit in these 3 different sizes of the standard squeeze bottles. So we have the standard 700 mils where we put our blue Curacao, and this is just our red Bickford's cordial. We have these ones here, are the 1 litres, but they've only got the 30 ml standard shots. So we've got some Malibu and some vodka. And then these ones are the litre ones as well, but they've got the 60 ml double shots. So we have the Maker's Mark and the Jack Daniels. Yeah, so all I'm really doing on here is writing what's going in there. It's chicken, and this is a portion that would be for wraps. It does help to have what it's for, so then you don't miss anything on here. But also to, so for chicken wraps, we would only have 125 grams of protein jammed in the bag, and if it was for a main meal, then it would be 250 grams. So just helps us work out how much to put in the bag. Oh, and I'm using smaller bags for the 125 gram ones as well, so that might be a bit of a giveaway as well. It's crazy, isn't it? See, that feels odd too, because the meat that's going in there is mince, and the recipe that it's for is chow mein mince. Mince, mince, mince. Who does that? And I think it's obvious to say that when I'm writing these down, and it says on it hoisin and garlic, there's a sachet for that, and you just match up the sachet. You get out the beef, get out the sachet, you get out the veggies, and like I said, we've got that little rack up in the corner in the kitchen, and we just we just get out all the bits and bobs that we need to make that recipe, and it's all ready to rock and roll. In my coding system, generally put a V on there for vegetarian, just so Jason doesn't get poisoned by one of my creations. That would be devastating. Although most of my food is extremely tasty. One of the other things that it allows me to do is use my Coles app to plug in all the things that I need. If there is an option to do Coles and Woolworths, or it allows me to swap between the apps to make sure that I get the best value for money. So as I'm tottering along here, I'm also adding in those final things, because the last run to the supermarket is the one where I do anything that goes into the fridge and the freezer. So we are about to set off and do that, and this is all going to be ready for when we get back.
The last piece of the puzzle is to go back and get the meat, dairy and frozen veggies. Then I get back and allocate them out into the little bags that we've just spent all afternoon writing up. Then everything can be allocated to the different fridges and freezers, so everything can be stored correctly, frozen or kept fresh, so they are ready at our fingertips to make our meals.
So we're getting very close to having the inside of the caravan all packed down. I just wanted to take a moment to reflect back on the way that we had done prior to leaving. So this is how we had our caravan packed before we took it in to have the final weigh. So fully loaded, the dogs in the car, us in the front seat, all of the food for 30 days. We went over the scales, and we know now when we pack the caravan like this that we are definitely within our limits. We don't travel this heavy all the time, but when we are actually going off-grid and we leave, the first couple of days obviously we're quite heavier. But the point to note, I guess, is that at any one time we are never actually over our legal weight limits in the caravan or in the car.
Shopping for a 30-day challenge always takes us a huge amount of time, and it's extremely tiring, but the process is so important. It helps us keep track of our meals, calories, and also too giving us a huge amount of variety. And at the end of the day, it saves us an enormous amount of money while we're traveling on the road.